But I'm going to come first to John Niven, who is a novelist and a screenwriter, and he's written a very raw and moving memoir, Oh Brother, about how his brother Gary took his own life at the age of just 42. And the myriad questions that death threw up for him. I found the book to be an amazing love letter to Gary, alongside an exploration of Gary's character and their shared childhood. And John, we get such a vivid picture of Gary through your telling of his tale. Was it important for you to let us know who Gary was?
Yeah, it was very important because although his life ended sadly and tragically and traumatically, I think it's important to realise that the way someone's life ends is not the entire life, and that when you're trying to come to terms with that, it's important to remember and celebrate the entire life. And although my brother's life did eventually lead him to a very dark place, there were lots of moments of light and joy and laughter and fun along the way. He was a very charismatic figure, my brother. He was very funny. He was very compulsive figure in many ways, although deeply flawed, you know. So I didn't want the book to be, with all respect to books in that area, a misery memoir. It was important, and lots of readers have got in touch, have said they found themselves laughing hysterically and then crying within the same paragraph, because that's what the patchwork of someone's life is. I think certainly in my brother's case, it wasn't just some grim tragedy from the word go. His life did spiral out of control in middle age. But you know, there was a lot of life to live before that, and it was important to reflect that. And I'm sure we'll come on to talk, all of us, later about kind of, especially certainly I'll speak through the experience of middle-aged men, how life can unravel for those men sometimes in middle age. And you know, writing the book became an attempt to in telling my brother's story, perhaps speak to common experience that happens across the board for men of a certain age, you know. And hopefully it's been helpful for other people in that regard, you know. And it also became a sort of exploration and celebration of family, because I came to realize during writing the book that the question I was trying to answer was, how does the black sheep in the family become the black sheep? It doesn't just happen at birth, I think, as it does with sheep. There are bumps and things along the road. There's family dynamic and family birth order, and you know, incidents in childhood and moments that all add up to making us who we are. Because I think for my mother, the question, because I was one of 3 children, there still is me and my sister. And the question that haunts my mum and nags at her is, where did I go wrong with Gary? What did I do wrong along the way that led to that outcome? And of course she didn't. It's not her fault. But the process of trying to get her to understand that is a long one and ongoing. You know, so the book was part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk very movingly about the joy that Gary brought, as well as the difficulties, and just the amount. I think you say, you know, here's another question that it's thrown up, and you know, get to the back of the queue, the list of questions sort of goes on forever.
Yes, so I'm sure we're all going to talk about this a little today, because in the book I describe suicide as being a Chernobyl of the soul, because it sets in this chain reaction of questions that have a very powerful half-life that will, to some degree, haunt some of us for the rest of our lives. It's almost endless, because the only person who can answer the questions went up at the epicenter of the blast. They're no longer here to speak to them. So it's questions you'll never get answers to, that go on for a very long time. That's one of the facets I've found of suicide.